I'm CeCe doing the most, and you guys know me on 99 Jamz, but I'm starting something new. It's called Doing the Most Good. So doing the most good could be a lot of things, right? Well, today we're going to be focusing on women's health, especially in the Black and brown community. Sis, we got to do a little bit better. And for this video in particular, this is kind of near to my heart because I've never really shared this with a lot of people, but I do suffer from PCOS, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we're gonna get into it with this smart, intelligent, beautiful woman to my right. But I also wanted just to share a little bit of my journey with PCOS. I was diagnosed when I was 25, but before then, I was just skinty hunty. Okay, I was skinny. I could eat whatever I wanted, not gain no weight. You know, hair, luscious, everything was cool. And then all of a sudden, I was just gaining weight. You know, I've always had issues with my cycle. And my body just was not normal. My body was trying to tell me something was wrong. And long story short, I went to a doctor, and that's how I got diagnosed. And now we're here. A few pounds later and all that stuff. But enough of my talking, because I definitely want to have this conversation with you. And Tianna, yes. Right? Tianna, she is one of the people that I have seen on social media doing great work. She definitely knows what she's talking about. She has a personal story when it comes to PCOS. So you might be watching this and might not even know you have PCOS, or you already, once we really get into the nitty gritty of this, you might be listening and thinking, damn, I might have PCOS. That's probably what's going on with my body and what's going on with me. So definitely, sis, get you a little snack, get you a little drink, because we're going to have a little girl talk, okay? But Tianna, thank you so much for being here. So let's go down. If you want to share your personal story with PCOS, if you want to kind of go into your medical background, the floor is yours.
Definitely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
And a little bit about my medical background. I'm a master's prepared registered nurse, and I'm also a PCOS hormone specialist and coach. A little bit about my history. I knew I had PCOS. I've always had irregular periods. But as CeCe said, I was thin. I could eat whatever I want. And I thought I was completely unaffected. I was a NICU labor delivery nurse delivering high-risk critical infants for a living. And I just thought I was Superwoman. So when I got pregnant with my first pregnancy, after being with my husband, you know, we always planned to have kids, but after I lost my pregnancy at 6 months pregnant. And I just remember being gaslit, like even before I lost the pregnancy, I was being gaslit about my symptoms. Even after, I was expected to go back to work and to function like normal. And I realized that so many women had experienced what I experienced: pregnancy losses, infertility, even just PCOS, just feeling like your fertility is being robbed away from you. And I gained like 40 pounds. My hair started falling out.
Child.
The depression just took over. And I just remember praying, and I promised to God I would never take credit for it, that if God got me out of that hole, if he would make me a mom one day, that I would create a corner where I would serve so much love and I would help women to get back to the starting point. And that's where I'm here now. You know, I'm a mom of two. I've lost the weight. I've learned to reverse my PCOS symptoms and manage it naturally. And I'm passionate about teaching women to do the same, especially Black and brown women. Because I feel like for so long, our voices haven't been heard. We're silenced. We're made to feel like what we're saying is false. And even though the most of our symptoms are very common, they're not normal. And that's why we're here to have this conversation today.
Girl. Well, I know a lot of women who are watching this right now are like, you lost the weight? You managed it? Okay, because if you know that you got PCOS, it is a journey. And I will say this, I made a lot of mistakes. I, started hitting the YouTube, hitting the TikToks, and because there's a lot of people who call themselves coaches and experts. But a lot of times, and we're going to talk about it, that a lot of people jump on trends, and PCOS is becoming the new medical trend that everybody wants to talk about. And a lot of times they're not being honest and their integrity is not there. So, you know, you do make a lot of mistakes because you're thinking what this person is saying is credible and they know what they're talking about. And some of these women ain't even got PCOS. Let's talk about that one. Okay? So, child. Almost had a moment. But did you want to say anything?
I was going to say a lot of them don't have PCOS, you know, and a lot of them market to women of color. They jump on these trends. They do this cultural appropriation, you know, because it's a very predatory space. So with that being said, I urge women to really heed caution and really do your research before you invest or even before you take any sort of medical advice from anyone, especially someone who's not medically licensed, who doesn't have something to lose at the end of the day, right? Because anybody can get on the internet and anybody can say anything, right? And it's usually the weird, the off stuff that usually it hits, right? And it goes viral. It's not always the truth that makes it viral. I think that's really important to note.
Yeah. So let's go into what do you do for women as a PCOS hormone coach? Because I know I didn't really know much about hormones. You know, I didn't even know how much hormones can affect a woman's body in so many ways, not even just your mood, but to have a pregnancy, to even just having enough energy to get up every day and work, go to school, take care of your family, take care of yourself. So what do you do as a hormone coach?
Definitely. So I have a 12-week online educational program, like an online school that my clients go through, and I basically educate them, right? Because so often women are like, I'm going to start next Monday. Oh, no, next Monday, right?
That's me.
And that Monday never comes, right?
Yeah.
And that's because the first step of managing your PCOS is definitely not like running to the diet or running to supplements, right? It's really getting down to the mindset, understanding what are the habits that got you in this place in the first place, right? And understanding what it takes to sort of start reversing those habits, those micro habits, right? Because something like 90% of our everyday habits are unconscious, right? We do it without even thinking, right? I told CeCe, we talked about one day, how many times have you drove home from work and not even remember anything on your way home from work?
All the time.
That's a perfect example, right? When we get hungry, like so many of our everyday tasks are just on overdrive. So until you get to the bottom of your mindset and you really address what's going on, you're going to always fall victim to those triggers if you're unaware of what they are.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good point as far as building a habit, because again, I'm probably going to keep saying this over and over again, it's a journey. And I think a lot of women were not so gentle and kind to ourselves. And you know, I'm not sure if there will ever be a cure for PCOS, or, you know, we will talk about ways we can manage and reverse it. But this is a journey, and you have to be a little bit more kinder to yourself and understand that, you know what, you're gonna have that day where you're gonna look at that slice of cake and say, you know what, bump it. I'm gonna enjoy me a slice of cake today.
Right.
You know what? I'm not gonna go to the gym today, or I'm not gonna do this today. But as long as you are trying to like take it step by step, like you say, it's a 12-step. It's not a 1-step.
Correct.
It's not you do this now or it's game over. And after 12 steps, you got to keep on, you know,
Exactly.
it's not just going to disappear.
Definitely. And even like you said about the habits, like just like one cake, one salad don't make you skinny, one missed day at the gym doesn't make you fat, right? It's about building consistency in those habits that you do know create positive changes and impact in your life and in your system, right? And that's really like the first step to reversing those PCOS symptoms is really getting behind those habits, because until you do, right, nothing else matters.
Yeah. That's true. Let's get a little bit into this PCOS. That's the word of the day, PCOS. So for those who may not know, what is PCOS?
Great. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it is accumulation of it's an endocrine disruptor. It's a disorder where it affects your hormones. So it affects your endocrine system, right? For a long time, PCOS has been mislabeled as a reproductive disorder, right? Because most women find out about PCOS when they want to have babies or when they're unable to have babies. But what recent research has revealed to us is that PCOS affects affects your whole entire system, from your mental health, right, to your energy levels, to your diet. To it really affects everything, because at the end of the day, your hormones are your chemical messengers. They tell your brain tells them what to do, and they go out and they perform this function. So if your brain is like, hey, do this, and your body's like, we're too tired right now, we've got some issues.
Girl.
And it causes a domino effect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why she's here, y'all. She gave it to you the simple terms. So what are some symptoms of PCOS? So if a woman is saying, okay, like tired, fatigue, body not feeling the same way, or trying to tell me something, what are some key symptoms for women who have PCOS?
So let's break this up, right? Because there'll be different symptoms for women who are younger and like childbearing age, and it'll present differently for women who are like menopausal, right? So for women who are like childbearing age, the first sign that you will see is an irregular period. Something about 70% of women have an irregular period. And your menstrual cycle is the baseline for your hormone health. It'll usually be the first thing to let you know, like, hey, something's off here, right? But most doctors, right? And, I'm going to keep it real, because CeCe told me I can keep it real.
Keep it real, hunty.
Okay, our medical healthcare system in the United States is not only broken, right, but it is privately owned, right? So there's very little push for us to find natural alternatives when the number one treatment for PCOS is birth control. Hormonal birth control.
That's what my doctor put me on when she diagnosed me. The first thing was either take some steroids, take a shot once a year, which can hurt your overall, health, or get on birth control. So I was like, well, birth control for $500, I mean, them other stuff, steroids and the shot that can make me even sicker, give me more problems, like.
And the
That's
research
crazy.
on birth control is crazy. Women on birth control have literally no sex drive. It increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. Women with PCOS, most women, the number one type of PCOS is insulin resistance. Hormonal birth control actually makes insulin resistance worse, right? It causes depression, suicidal thoughts, right? Women literally feel like they're losing their minds on hormonal birth control. And what it does is it shuts off a woman's natural hormonal system and infuses a woman with artificial hormones. So you feel like, oh, everything is fine because you're literally a slave to the birth control. And when you stop taking the birth control and your natural hormones start to peek out from, under the bushes, you realize that the problems have never been addressed, and they come back even 10 times harder. And some women can take up to 10 years to regain normal control of your hormones after hormonal birth control.
Ooh, that's just scary. Like, that's really scary to know that, like, a lot of times, especially for Black people in the Black community, we don't have a 100% trust in doctors in the medical field, but it sucks when you do feel like you found that one physician that knows what they're talking about and you feel like you can trust them, but they don't tell you all that. You know what I'm saying? And how many times have we seen those birth control pill commercials? And it's just like, well, damn. Is it worth it, or should I just try something else?
And Justin Bieber's wife, Haley, whatever her name is, she just suffered a stroke at 25 because of birth control. And I'm just like, if someone with all of the money and all of the resources afforded to them can still experience a stroke on birth control, then what does the average Black or brown woman, like, what do we strive to? What do we look forward to? Where is our faith in the healthcare system to protect us? And it's really disheartening.
It's
and I
very
feel like
disheartening.
as long as our healthcare system is privatized, there will always be a push for pharmaceutical drugs. And it's really unfortunate. But I feel like the power comes back with body literacy and body advocacy, right? Learning to be the first one to know what's going on with your body, and then being in the position to advocate for yourself, to ask the right questions, right? How to search for the doctor who's going to give you those things. And that's really what I work with women in identifying, is how to become the driver of your own ship, right? I don't want you to become dependent on me, right? I want to make you so independent that you don't need me when you're done with my 12-week program, right? Because so many influencers, you graduate from this program, and then you got to buy this one, and then this one, and then this one.
Girl, don't.
I sell
trying
one
not
thing.
to put no people
one
on
program.
blast, but y'all be making me mad with them little programs. That's a little scam. There's a little hustle off of my PCOS, off of my little syndrome I have. Y'all trying to make money. I don't like that, and I see you. We
see you, okay? So definitely, so it's, it comes with body literacy and body advocacy, right? Getting in that space. And then as we talked about before, when you instill those natural habits, you will have, it becomes healing becomes a natural consequence, right? Of you just changing one thing at a time, right? Just stacking those positive habits one over the other. And eventually you start to see change. And that's the direction that, I like to move in.
Now, you did mention that, women being more in touch with their body. How can a woman determine that they have PCOS? Or do you just suggest that they go see a doctor? Like, what would you suggest to a woman? So
I don't want to break anyone's heart, right? Because the statistics of PCOS are obnoxiously staggering, right?
Yeah.
The average woman takes 5 to 10 years to be diagnosed, has to go to multiple physicians. And there's such a push, the physicians don't want to diagnose, right? So my first thing is, if you absolutely feel like you need a diagnosis, which you don't, right, to get started, but if you feel like you need one, then become aware of the criteria for diagnosis, right? You need to have 2 out of the 3 of the following. You need to have irregular period, some sort of sign of hormonal imbalance, right? Facial hair or something like that to show you that your hormones are imbalanced. Or you need to have polycystic ovaries confirmed by an ultrasound. So, that's the route. But once you know that you have 2 or 3 out of the following, and you go to your doctor and he or she's like, you don't have PCOS, then you say, can you document my symptoms and document refusal to diagose? Ooh. Oh, the conversation changes.
Oh,
the conversation changes there. I said, could you document what my complaints were, and document, because I shouldn't have to go to 5 doctors and repeat the same thing over and over again. You document exactly what I have, what I'm complaining about, and your inability to diagnose me. So the next doctor, we don't have to do all of this, and you'll see how quickly they change their tune. Okay, wait. Okay,
I ain't never pulled that card.
Try it.
Ooh. She like, girl, go ahead. See how quick they switch that energy up. So how much, like, is there a statistic as far as how many women get misdiagnosed from doctors? Because I do see some women that say that PCOS is still a new thing in the medical field. And it's like a lot of doctors and physicians are trying to catch up to it. So with that being said, like, I can understand when things are new to the medical field, because I mean, that is one area where you have to keep on learning and educating yourself because new things pop up every day. However, that means there's probably a lot of women being misdiagnosed or being told, like, you just need to go on a diet or you need to do this. But they have PCOS.
I don't want to say PCOS is so new, and I'm a medical health care professional, but I don't want to give them so much slack either, right? Because a lot of this is intentional, right?
Okay.
Like, my mom has my mom's had PCOS forever, so we know this has been around for a long time.
Wow.
And even until today, they only allocate 0.1% research funding for PCOS because it's still labeled as a reproductive disorder, despite all the research that we have, right? And more than that, more than just PCOS, I feel like there has to be a push for medical professionals to understand the plight of a Black and brown woman, period, outside of PCOS, because healing from the space of a Black or brown woman looks different no matter what we're talking about. Hypertension, diabetes, PCOS, it looks different across the board, right? And we're noticing that doctors are just now learning about the difference in races and how to treat those races, right? So we are far behind in treating that. But at the same time, I still feel like a lot of this is like, we're intentionally turning a blind eye, because if we admit that the overwhelming, staggering statistic of PCOS, then we have to start questioning how we got the PCOS, right? And then we start to come from the large pharmaceutical companies, some of our favorite hair care brands that advertise to Black and brown women of color, yet are filled with endocrine disruptors, right? We got to get on these cleaning right? And then we've got to, like, it gets messy, right? And we start taking money away from the people who are in power, right? So I feel like a lot of the misinformation or the lack of research and information is really strategic. to keep people in the dark, right? Because it's been around for it's the number one cause of infertility worldwide.
You said worldwide.
Worldwide. Number one cause, you know? And at this point, I mean, my little self, you know, as a nurse, I was taking care of babies, and it would come a point that I'm like, okay, wait, I would start seeing something, and I'm like, I know I'm smart, but I know I'm not that smart, right? If I figured it out, then I know that so many other physicians have to have figured it out. But it's just the desire to create lasting change and impact. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they just don't have that drive to do that. And that's why it's so important that we have these conversations.
Right. So, man, is it, I don't know, because I know like a lot of times, like with heart disease, I know that Black women tend to suffer from heart disease more than any other race of women. Is that the same for PCOS, or like you said, this is more of a global phenomenon that is affecting a lot of women from a lot of backgrounds?
So it is a global phenomenon. However, Black and brown women experience PCOS symptoms much more severe than our counterparts. For instance, Black and brown women are more prone to experience that really dark facial hair. You don't really see too many women that are not of color experience that thick. Those beards, you know.
Okay.
I
mean, we've seen one on the subway train or on the bus or just out here in public, you know. And a lot of times, like, I didn't know that. I thought when I was young, it was just an old lady that didn't give a damn no more. She wasn't about to wake up this morning and pluck and shave for us. She don't care. But I didn't realize that's a form of PCOS.
Yeah, and the other thing is that dark neck, right? That so many Black and brown women get made fun of for, the creases in the thighs, the armpit, right?
Yes,
and that's one of the first signs of insulin resistance. Now, our counterparts don't show up like that, right? So for us in the Black and brown community, I remember my mom telling me when I was younger, you didn't scrub your neck, girl, like you know, and just thinking like it was dirt, or it was like not knowing that it was one of the first signs that my body was improperly trying to break down sugar, and it was showing up on my neck, right? And one of the first signs when you start to get it together is you see the lightening, right? So there's so many different, and more than that, just culturally, right? And in terms of economic, like Black and brown women are not afforded the same access, right? I know I work with a company that I help women to track their cycles, and I meet so many Black and brown women who have no clue how to track their cycles, how to have, you know?
I'm still learning too, so.
And it's just information that's not really like available to our communities. And more than that, healing looks different for a woman of color, because when doctors say no carbs, how does that look for Black and brown communities that love rice, beans, plantains? What are we supposed to eat?
Girl, I'm still trying to figure that one out. What can I eat? I like to eat everything. Right? Okay, like that's how I am. I like to eat everything. I like sweets. Okay, I love comfort food. Right. And you know, especially in the Black community, comfort food was sometimes the therapist.
Yes.
When you go over to grandma's house and she'd be like, "What's wrong, baby? Come over here. Let me make you a plate."
And
or your mama do the same thing. Like sometimes comfort and how we make ourselves feel better is through food.
It's synonymous, and that comes from slavery. You know, people were served the most fattiest portions of the meat. That's where we get the oxtail, all that stuff, because they ate the lean meat. They gave the slaves the most fattiest, right? That's why Black people have, and brown people, we have such a prevalence of heart disease and stuff, because we've been taught to eat like this for hundreds of years, right? And then you develop PCOS, you go to the doctor, and they're looking at you like, well, you need to lose weight and stop eating. And you're like, my mama, my grandmama, my grandmama's mama, we all ate like this. What does that look like?
My grandma on my dad's side was from Birmingham, Alabama, and she would literally, like, every day was soul food. Okay, Sunday. I mean, that's just how she was. Like, everything was fried. You know, if it's fried, it's better for you, baby. That's a little bit more love in it.
That's right.
He would say. say. It's a little bit more love in that fried chicken.
Yeah, and my grandmother, she still, like, she didn't get it when I started to change, right? She took it, like, personally, like, oh my God, right? And that's why we have to understand the mindset, and we have to understand, like, the historical, to why we're doing, right? Because sometimes our family can come off the wrong way, right? It's like, this is how we eat in our whole life, and suddenly you want to change. There's so much resistance to that.
Well, my brother, a little backstory, my brother has been a vegan for about like 3 years, I think. Like he moved to Brooklyn, New York, and he got on that vegan train, right? But I've noticed that he's lost some weight, but he's not looking sick. You know what I'm saying? Like he looks good. I'm like, okay, bro, good. But I know, like my dad be like, you know, like, oh, so now you too good to eat meat. Yeah. Like, so how do you, because sometimes people, especially if they're younger, like, what do you do if you have a teenage girl being diagnosed with PCOS? Like, that might have to be a change that the whole family has to make for her. You know what I'm saying? Because she can't just go out and buy her own groceries. Like, what do you do for the people who may be like, yeah, I understand it might be like the old heads, like the generation ahead of me might not understand what I need now to deal with my PCOS, like naturally, which we're going to get a little bit into that too. So like, what do you suggest?
That comes from, once again, having these conversations, right? The parents need education, right? And sometimes we're so resistant to change because that's our subconscious mind trying to protect us from the unknown, right? We've done something for so long this way, and if we change, we're like, what can happen to us if we change? We want our brain always is wired to seek comfort, right? And first, it's just for the person who's experiencing, it's just really having patience and having understanding for the older generation, right? And that we're trying to like change their way of living, what they believed all along to believe is true. And you have to have a little bit of sympathy there, you know? Because it's like someone's coming and trying to change everything that you've known to be true forever. And that's hard. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It's still hard to digest, right? So that's the first part. And then it's just support, right? It takes a village. And we've moved away from that in the social media era, right? We don't have like the aunts, we don't have everyone to come in and support us and create like that community. And we need that again, right? So we need the community, we need the education, and we need the support, right? We need more people of color who are educated in balanced nutrition and hormones and all of this stuff to have these conversations. And, you know, a lot of times this topic is so taboo. You know, nobody wants to talk about your menstrual cycle or, you know, like...
especially men.
Oh, my God. Let's not...
You know.
Do we have enough time to get into...
Men, you know, it happens once a month. You know, it is what it is. That's how you got here, because your mama had one too. Like, like it just is what it is. Like, yeah, I feel like a lot of times, and I think this is why I hesitate to just share my story, having PCOS, because a lot of times people put that label of damaged goods on you because of the pregnancy thing, you know?
Yes.
And I've heard... and I've watched other women speak on it, how they've had hard times with their love life or dating life. Or I've even seen an incident or two where the husband left the wife because he said, you damaged goods, you know, because it took her a little bit longer, a little bit more work to have a baby, you know. So I think a lot of women are kind of off-putting to sharing their story, but we do need more women, especially women that look like us, to share those stories. So, you know, not just like a lot of times people say, you know, if you want to choose to go to a therapist that looks like you, that's fine. If you feel like they understand you better because they know your culture, they understand your culture, they understand your background and where you might have come from, that's fine. It's not to be mean.
It's not even fun. It is a non-negotiable for me. You know, Because I can give you a million examples as a registered nurse that I've had to step in and educate people on cultural appropriation, not even from my culture. I can give you so many examples. I had a Vietnamese baby who they believe in coining, when they take the coin and they drag it over the baby, and somehow they believe that releases some sort of the sickness from the child. So when the home health nurse comes, she calls me as the medical complex case manager for this child, and they want to call DCF, and I'm like, wait, no, that's cultural, right? That's okay. Another example. In the ER, a mom came in with her daughter with burns on the back. She says that she was boiling the braids for curling the braids. We know that that's normal in the Black culture.
Yes.
We know how you gonna get those ends to curl after you do those box braids. We need the hot water. but the nurse who wasn't of color, she didn't believe that story. Like, why were you boiling her hair? Like, let's call DCF.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I can give you a million instances of just things within our culture that if you're not there, you just don't get it. And I'm not saying that you have to exclusively see practitioners of color, but I'm saying that when you feel so much resistance and you don't feel like you're being heard, you're being seen, sometimes it takes to go to somebody who looks like you, who can relate to what you've been through, to truly put together the pieces that are not so clear.
Ooh, girl, you talking. I'm a battle rap fan. That's what we say when somebody's spitting.
I like
girl,
you
talking. You talking.
I'm gonna use that.
Right now. You kind of talking right now. But I do want to go back because I did forget to ask a few things. Like, what age do most women get diagnosed? I was seeing some people were saying by the time a young lady has hit puberty is when usually you can diagnose somebody, and then obviously older.
Well, getting diagnosed is hard because the first sign that women have usually is the irregular period.
Right.
But what they do is
mine.
they want to put these girls on birth control 12, 13 years old.
That was,
right?
Yep.
You'll be on birth control for 10 years. Then you come off, you want to have a baby, and now you get diagnosed, right? You get diagnosed now. And it's just like you could have been diagnosed so long ago, but they were basically trying to silence your symptoms. And that's why I feel so passionate about taking a pill, right? Get to the bottom of it first, right? Before you take a pill, because you become a slave to it. So for young girls, really, once there's an irregular period, then that is really a sign that something needs to be investigated, right? No birth control. Get to the bottom of what's going on first, especially in the adolescence, right? A woman's body is still forming. A woman's mental health is still forming, right?
Yeah.
These delicate hormones that balance the mental health, it is so important that these young girls, that we do not feed into this culture, right? If young girls start to gain too much weight, like, there could be symptoms behind this, right? So we've got to teach our young girls to stand up for themselves, to body literacy, right? To understand that a menstrual cycle it's normal, right? Everybody got here because someone had one, right? And having those, so that's the first step. So that's for adolescents, but that's really how they're diagnosed. Other than that, most women really get diagnosed when it's time to have a baby, or PCOS, or they get something else, like maybe they have some sort of inflammation, and then they find out that they have PCOS. But usually the first sign is commonly overlooked, and that's that irregular period. Most people are like, well, that's nothing. And I want to say 2015 or something, the American Association of Gynecology and the American Pediatric Association sent out a memo urging physicians to count the menstrual cycle as a fifth vital sign, right? So that was 7 years ago. I haven't seen a doctor, I haven't seen them ask about it yet.
What does that mean?
That means that how you go in and they monitor your heart rate, and your baseline, they monitor your breath, they monitor your temperature. Mm-hmm. They should be monitoring your period as well.
Oh, okay.
Because the minute your heart rate goes a little bit up, they're like, oh, she's in distress, something's wrong. But the minute your period go irregular, nobody's batting an eye. And doctors are saying there is so much related to the menstrual health, right? The mental health, right? When women come to me and they tell me I'm anxious, I have anxiety, I have depression, I'm irritable. First question is, are you tracking your ovulation? 9 out of 10 times they have no clue what I'm talking about, right? And you can only make the hormone for your mental health, for your progesterone, the one that calms, it's called the soothing hormone, you only make it if you're ovulating. So if you don't ovulate, you don't make the hormone. So you're irritable, you're depressed, you're anxious. Before you know it, you're on Prozac, you're in Weight Watchers, and you know what I'm saying? And you didn't even get to the bottom of what's going on, but you're a slave to so much, you know?
That's crazy. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't know hormones play so many different parts in the woman's body. And now ovulation, like, you know, a lot of times you don't really hear those words unless you're trying to have a baby. But we don't even know that hormonal health has so much to do with us as a whole, like how our body even functions and process insulin. Like it's very awakening. And it's a little scary too, because it makes me think personally, like, okay, these are things that I know I need to kind of check and kind of try to reverse. Yeah. So you say natural. What do you mean by natural? Is that going vegan? Is that like vegetarian or natural supplements? Smoking weed? Like what?
We're getting deep, girl. Talk that talk. All right. Okay. So I do not recommend vegan, keto, gluten-free,
keto
dairy-free.
is a big one. I see a lot of
none of those things,
say.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because that kind of restrictive dieting is really hard to maintain long term. And it also, we love food, right? We celebrate around food. And that can make you feel really alienated.
Girl.
So it's more so about learning how to eat balanced nutrition, right? Let me give you an example. You go to sleep for 8 hours, right? What is breakfast? You're breaking a fast, right? Break fast. You haven't eaten for 8 hours. You're coming out of fast, right? When you come out of a fast, if you've ever known someone religious or even someone who does it for health reasons, does someone come out of a fast and eat like sugar, eat like Starbucks goodness or some carb, something heavy carb? No, that's not the first thing you want to eat, right? We want to do something with protein, right? Something with healthy source of fat. If you find that you change the first meal of the day to protein instead of carbohydrates, right? You'll find that you'll be full till 12, 1 o'clock. You don't even feel the hunger. But if you start your day with sugar, then you feel like you're always catching up. You're always hungry. You're always waiting for the next meal, right? So it's really about understanding how the macronutrients, the three of them, right? Fat, protein, and carbs, how we need to balance those to create balance within our diet. And when we create balance within our diet, then we don't have those blood sugar fluctuations because it's the blood sugar fluctuations that cause the insulin resistance to go out of control.
So do some women have form diabetes due to PCOS?
Yeah, 50% of women with PCOS will have diabetes before age 40. Okay, so those are the statistics. PCOS is also known as diabetes of the ovaries. Okay, yes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so PCOS, I never recommend like restrictions, right? And when we talk about supplements, just the word supplement, right? I'm breaking down all the words for you guys today.
Yes, ma'am.
But just the word supplement, right? It's meant to supplement a healthy lifestyle, right? So many women are like, what pill can I take? Well, first it comes to you trying to naturally eat healthy, right? And then there's just some foods that's not going to go down, like sauerkraut and all the other stuff that have probiotics, the kimchi, all that stuff that they try to get you to take.
Really? Yes, that's the new health
I'm not going to eat that.
Trend.
I tried, but I don't like it.
It does taste nasty.
It does. So I supplement. I take a pre and probiotic to supplement because I know I can't get that through my diet, right? But then there's other things that I know I can get this through my diet, right? So supplements are not a one size fits all. First, you have to do your best in due diligence to eat the best that you can, right? And then you want to try to fill those gaps with supplements. And your gaps are going to be different from her gaps and her gaps. Because we all have a different taste buds, right? So all of these like PCOS all-in-one supplements, like, no, we need to find exactly what we're missing and then supplement that specifically.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I was doing that too in the beginning of my journey. Like, I was looking at all these girls talking about how, this is how I lost 20, 30, 40 pounds after knowing I had PCOS. So this is my PCOS diet. And, you think like, oh, well, if it worked for her, it got to work for me. And sometimes, certain things may have worked, but other things didn't from my body.
And when it doesn't, we internalize it, and then we're like, man, something's wrong with me, right? When it's not, it's like what worked for Felicia won't work for you, right? And that's why PCOS care has to be so individualized, right? It really comes to understanding what is going on specifically in your life. What are your stress triggers? What are the foods that you absolutely reach for when you are hungry, right? What are your triggers? Because unless you understand what your triggers are, then you're halfway in the trigger before you realize that you're doing it, right?
Okay, yeah. Now, as far as supplements, because I know we talked about Ovastal, which I would like for you to share what that is for some women who may not, they're like, what was that? Over what? You know what I'm saying? But like, what are some supplements that women can take, like a probiotic, like you said? What are some good ones for women with PCOS?
Definitely. So I definitely love Ovastal, and this is it's a supplement that helps with your overall hormone health. It helps with your egg quality, helps with your insulin resistance. I can go on and on about it. It's just everything. Trust me on that one. Okay. The next one is a pre and probiotic. Okay, and 90% of the serotonin, the hormone that makes you feel good, is actually created in your gut. All right.
I hear so many more people talking about that your immune system is in your gut. A lot of things is in your gut.
And so many women with PCOS, I'm not going to point nobody out, suffer from constipation, right? Don't lie. I see you. You suffering from constipation.
Or bloat.
Yes.
Bloat is my thing. I be bloating like I'm looking like I'm expecting a baby.
Right. And the probiotics, what they do is it replenishes yourself with the healthy gut bacteria. Okay. Right? Because we need a good balance of the healthy and the bad bacteria. And sometimes when we have too much bad bacteria from eating all the good foods that we love to eat, we have to balance that so that we can feel better. So that we talk about probiotics, we talk about Ovastal and vitamin D. Something like 80% of women with PCOS is severely deficient in vitamin D. And it's another one of those things that leads to depression, right? Leads to you not feeling good, right? And then when you're depressed, one of the first things you do, you stop taking care of yourself, right?
Yeah, you want to just stay in bed all day.
And it creates a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
Vitamin D, what else? Omega-3. Let me think, what else? There's just so many, but it really depends on, like I said, what are your diet? What are you eating? What are you not eating? What you absolutely cannot tolerate, and you might need to supplement that specifically, right? I hate to give out so many one size fit all, but those I would give those. If I could give to anyone blind, it would be Ovastal, vitamin D, pre and probiotic. I might be missing some, so don't come for me. But if I remember, I'll
That's what's up. That's a good list. That's a good list.
Okay.
Now I do take a all, like, I don't know if it's like, what are those like women vitamins that has like everything in one a day vitamins? Yeah. Is that good? Is that enough of, like, let's say women who don't like taking pills, and maybe they're just gung ho on taking all them damn pills and supplements and be like, can I just take a one a day? Is that enough?
It's a start. It's a start, right?
It's a start.
It's a start.
Okay.
We want to look at the back of the vitamin package, and there's something going to say DV or daily value, right?
Daily value,
and some of them will be 12%, some of them will be 100%, right? If it's 10%, you're getting 1/10 of what you need in your daily value.
Yes.
So for some women, that's okay. For someone with PCOS, they might need more. They might need 100% of their daily value in that vitamin to see a change. So you might have to analyze the vitamin and see what you need from it. But it's definitely a great start. If you don't have anything else, grab a one a day, right? So it's a good start.
Okay. As far as now, I know you said like the vegan, the vegetarian, the keto. What about, because I do see a lot of people or a lot of coaches, PCOS coaches, be saying, like you should go on a dairy-free, gluten-free diet. They saying that the dairy and the gluten cause a lot of inflammation for women on PCOS.
Yes.
Have you seen the same trend
I do.
for those?
And I stay away from those coaches who encourage women to be so restrictive, because that's not a way to live your life, right? And you don't want to go places and, is this gluten-free? Is this, it works for some women. So I don't want to knock it if it's working for some women. But at the end of the day, there's a better way to learn how to eat a balanced diet. And with the restrictions, it's just too much, right? There is some research that says that gluten can be inflammatory to certain women, but you have to be tested to know if you have a gluten sensitivity.
Okay.
Right? So to put that blanket statement for everyone, it's kind of tough. You know, for some women might benefit, some women might not. Also with the keto, I mean, all of these diets, as when you restrict something, you're going to see short-term results, right? The true question is, can I maintain this way of eating for the rest of my life? And if it's no, don't even start it. Don't start it.
I miss my younger days, because you know, the 20-year-old me would have been like, I can eat whatever I want and I'll be fine. Thank you.
Yes.
Because my mom used to be like, you know what? Enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it's going to catch up to your ass too.
Yes. And especially like with the keto and the what's the other one? The keto specifically, like when a lot of women, because I tried the keto one time, a lot of women, when they do keto, what you don't realize is when you restrict all of the carbs, right? Meat is highly acidic. Vegetables is alkaline. So if you just like, I'm gonna just take the bun off my burger, I'm gonna just sub out.
I be doing that. I be acting bougie like that.
And
sometimes.
you don't put the veggies back in, you negatively impact your blood pH to acidic. And when you do that, you
by
put
just
yourself,
eating the meat and cheese.
And I got shingles, honey, like an old lady. I got shingles, and I had blisters all over my body. I was in the hospital. What happened?
My mama has shingles,
and the doctor said,
ooh.
You gotta eat carbs. You gotta eat fruit and vegetables. I said, I can't. I'm keto. They look at me like, that's how you got here in the first place.
See,
and the thing with
we be really trying to do the right thing, and it backfires. That's why I say it's so hard being a woman, fellas. Y'all just do not understand.
You don't. And with
what
vegan,
we be going through.
With vegan, when you eliminate all the meat and you do all these meat replacements, these meat substitutes, right? Unless you have an underlying health condition where you really need it, then you infuse yourself with so much carbs, soy, everything else, and then it's just like you traded one poison for the next, right? So it's really about, how about we eat better qualities of meat, organic, grass-fed, right? We try to get from our local farmers market, right? We try to get better cuts of meat, right? We try to eat more plant-based. So maybe 75% of our plate is nice, leafy, colorful, and then we got a little, we still got our meat. We still gotta live, so it's just about finding moderation, what works for you, and every woman is different.
I'm trying to make mental notes while we are having this conversation, because you definitely hitting a lot for me personally. Now, for those who are watching, who are learning as we go, and for maybe some women who do have PCOS, is it curable? Can you reverse it? Or once you got it, it is what it is?
Yeah, it's kind of like asthma. Once they label you, you kind of got it for life, right? But some people can have asthma and they never have an asthma attack. Like I had it once when I was 2. Never. I'm 40. I never had it, right? So that's like PCOS. Once you have it, you're really labeled for life, right? But PCOS, in essence, is a superpower, right? That nobody tells you about. It's
well, talk about this superpower we got.
Let's talk about it, right? So it's a superpower from Mother Nature, right? Because essentially, what it's doing is it is shutting down your hormonal system when something is wrong. Right, so if you ever watched The Walking Dead,
girl, that's my show.
Oh my God, I knew I loved you. All right,
I like that show.
I be watching The Walking Dead and I be overthinking. Right, I'm like, well, ain't nobody got no babies, and why nobody getting pregnant? The way everybody be in love and stuff, girl. But ain't nobody be getting pregnant on The Walking Dead like that. Like I'm like, why can't they get pregnant? Then it hit me. Oh, they can't get pregnant because what if the baby crying in the woods? They're going to have to leave the baby behind and run, right?
Girl, that happened a few times. What was it, Rick's baby?
Yes.
I was like, shut that down. Oh, no.
So what happens is when Mother Nature finds that you are highly stressed, you may be in The Walking Dead. So Mother Nature shuts off your reproductive system. That's when your menstrual cycle starts to become irregular because it's Mother Nature like, hello, it's not time to have a baby. Something's wrong, right? And as women, we like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. Give me some birth control. Give me some IVF, right?
Ooh, IVF.
I'm a NICU nurse. I've seen so many women, they go 6, 7 rounds of IVF. And when they come to see me and the baby's, so sick and so tiny, and I see that the 7th round of IVF, I'm like, what doctor let you do this? right? Then we see that there was some underlying, your body was trying to tell you something when you, right? So what happened here, right? So it's a superpower in the essence. It's telling you like, hey, something's wrong, right? Women, because two women we can both eat the same foods, have the same genetics, but I might be more hypersensitive to PCOS than you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's a superpower in the essence because I'm more sensitive, you know? So we can both be going through the same thing. So in essence, PCOS is a superpower because it is telling you about those sensitivities that you have way before cardiovascular disease. Like, let's say I have PCOS and you don't. My period becomes irregular. That puts me in check. Now I'm checking things, but you, by the time, like we both have a risk for cardiovascular disease. But my period comes out of whack. My hormones start giving me little cues. I start taking care of myself. You don't got no cues. So you still eating the way you eating, you doing everything the way you're doing, and then bam, you catch a heart attack. You know, the PCOS will warn you if you really pay attention. It's warn you because the 3 causes of death in the United States are all preventable. Right?
What are those?
Cardiovascular disease.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for those 3.
I'm sorry. I thought you, girl, you be
they're all
spinning.
preventable.
Right.
I don't remember the other 2, but they're all preventable. It's just to tell you, nobody really wants to, you know, no one wants to be sick. But what happens is that you don't move until you feel the pressure. And unless you have PCOS or something else to tell you something's wrong, you really don't find out until it's too late. So that's why I consider it a superpower for so many women. Because right at the brink of adolescence, you know that you've got some sensitivities going on. You're at risk for diabetes when you know, in your later years. You might have issues having a baby one day. And not saying that, you know, if you don't have PCOS, you might not be at risk, but it just puts you on guard and it allows you to start taking care of yourself, start paying attention, start educating yourself. Whereas other women probably won't know until they have their first abortion, a miscarriage. You know, they won't understand until one morning they wake up and they're 50 pounds overweight and they're like, what the hell happened?
Girl,
you know?
Where did this come from? Where did you come from? No, I'm joking.
And it happened just like that, okay?
What is going on? I thought I was pregnant. I really thought I was pregnant. Like, I was bloated. I looked like I was pregnant because it's like it was all right here. And I literally was like, boop. Yeah. Like I was pregnant. But speaking of pregnant, because I know this could be another whole separate video as far as pregnancy and PCOS. But quickly, like, because I know me as a woman, I have some fears that I'm not going to be able to have a baby on my own or naturally. Like, is it have you seen women be able to have a baby with PCOS? Or is it like, because I don't want to feel like it's like a sentence. Like, you have PCOS, you can't have a baby.
Yeah, definitely. It can definitely feel like a sentence, but it is definitely not. I have 2 babies. I had them naturally after having several miscarriages, and one as far as 6 months, right? And more than that, talking about pregnancy with PCOS, when we talked about those hormones, progesterone, back to that hormone, that magical hormone that you only make when you ovulate, that hormone is responsible for maintaining a pregnancy. So if you don't ovulate every month and suddenly you get pregnant, you are at higher risk of having a miscarriage because you didn't have enough of this vital hormone to support your pregnancy. And that's what happened to me. I had irregular periods my whole life. I would get a period twice a year, and I thought that was normal. And when I finally got pregnant, I didn't have enough progesterone to maintain my pregnancy. Right? The other part of it is when we talk about body literacy, this is where it comes into play. It's understanding your body. A woman can only get pregnant 4 days out the month, right? You ovulate one day out of that month. So it's understanding what are those 4 days and making sure that you confirm those 4 days every single month. And if you miss a month or if you're late, then you have to analyze what in your life, what is it, your stress, like what factor could be contributing to your lack of ovulation or your irregular cycle. And the best way to protect yourself for future pregnancies and to give yourself the best chance at a future pregnancy is ensuring that you ovulate naturally every single month. Because what ovulation marks is the completion of your hormonal cycle. So if you don't ovulate, you ain't, you might have come a little bit around, got stuck right there, and then you want to make sure we're completing the cycle every single month. Men hormones reset every 24 hours. A woman's hormones reset every 28 days, right? So it's really important to understand how our hormones react, and more than that, we need cycle syncing, right? I told CeCe one time, women, after your period, you feel good. You start to, as your hormones start to rev back up, you feel good. You feel sexy. You feel confident, right? If you started to plan your life according to your hormone fluctuations, I mean, that's a game changer right there. If, like, for your interviews, you did your best interviews a few days after your period when you knew your hormones were peak levels, your skin was flawless, you just felt stomach on flat, right?
Yes.
But then, a few days before your period, which is called the luteal phase of your menstrual cycle, you know that your hormones are on the way down, right? Because they're preparing for your
I didn't
period.
even want to come to work.
That's the time where you're not scheduling no interviews.
Right. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. But that's our superpower. So us being aware of how our hormones cycle, how we're supposed to feel, how we're supposed to eat during those times so we can cater to our hormones as the precious jewels that they are. Ooh, that's when things change.
Oh, yes. So I know that we probably can't get into everything on your 12-step program, but I feel like your 12-step program will definitely address all these things that we have pretty much talked about so far in this video. Could you give people a little bit of a preview in case they're like, you know what, she's spitting, CeCe. She clearly knows what she's talking about. I like what she's saying. I would love to work with her, or how can I get in touch with you so they can learn more from you?
So I'm Love Served Warm on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram. My website is Love Served Warm because I'm on a mission to empower women and to do it with love and tenacity and sophistication, okay? And more than that, my 12-week framework is, the first step is mindset, right? It's truly getting behind understanding why you are stuck in these cycles. What are your triggers, right? Identifying those triggers. Because once again, if we don't identify what those triggers are, we'll be halfway in the middle of them before we realize that we're even doing it, right? That can be, I wake up in the morning, I know I ain't got nothing to eat. I go to Starbucks every day on my drive into work, right? Whatever it is, understand what your trigger is so that you can create habits, you can put bumpers into place to help you. The next one is nutrition, right? You have to learn how to eat all over again, right? How to eat in a way, and it's not about eliminating what you love, but it's about incorporating it in a way that creates balance in your life, right? The first thing women tell me is, I already know I'm not going to eat soda, pizza, chips. And I tell them, why? You want to live like that? Because in my program, we eat it all and we still lose the weight, right? Because 9 out of 10 times, the weight is not from our eating. Because sometimes we don't even be hungry with our hormonal imbalances. We could go the whole day without eating. Somebody got to remind us. Right?
I have that. I do have those moments where I just be like, dang, I didn't eat yet today.
And you don't lose no weight. You'd be like,
yeah, girl.
Step on the scale like, what? I didn't eat. What happened?
It's like, you know what? I know I was not eating all that. I wasn't even eating no damn food this week. How I gained 10 pounds?
Right? So then you're like, I'm going to eat it anyway. Right? So it's really about learning how to balance your meals, how to incorporate what you love in a way that will create balance within your meals. Right?
Come on.
Learning how to read nutrition labels, right? That is... If I could say one thing to my people of color, right, we have to start learning to read these nutrition labels. Do not get caught up by the propagandas of marketing, right? It look good in the front. Or what they do is they bring in these celebrities who don't eat what they selling, right? But they'll sell it to us and we'll buy it because we've seen our homegirl eating it on TV, right? We have to read the food labels. We have to understand what is being put into our food, right? Sometimes a little bag of chips could have 8 servings in it. It had 5 servings.
Them Flaming Hot.
I'd be like, what's one serving then?
Right, the Flaming Hot.
Maybe.
I'd be like, and they know what they doing, because you know I'm not just going to eat 15 Flaming Hot chips out of this bag. You know I'm not going to do that.
You know this whole bag is 1 serving. Why you didn't do that?
Just pick 1, 2, 3.
Right? So that's the one thing. It's learning because you can't outrun a bad diet. You have to understand what you're putting into your body, right? Especially once again in the Black and brown communities, we love these seed oils. that are highly inflammatory. I'm talking about
seed oil.
not black seed. We're talking about like canola oil, corn oil.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
We cook with these oils that are highly inflammatory, right? It's really deep, right? But nutrition, we've got to get behind on our nutrition, on understanding what is fueling us. What are the foods that aggravate your insulin resistance specifically, if that's what you have issues with, right? More than that is understanding your menstrual cycle. That's number 3. Your menstrual cycle is the baseline for your overall hormone health, right? So understanding how to track your menstrual cycle. Even if you be searching for it in the daytime with a flashlight, right? You can still track your menstrual cycle, right? You have to learn how to cycle track. If your period comes once a year, you'll still know when your period's coming if you're cycle tracking. Because what's not measured is not managed. We need to know exactly what phase of your period did you get lost in, right? Was it the menstruation? Was it the follicular? Was it the luteal? Was it the ovulation? We have to, because when we find out where you stuck in, then we can create individualized plan to treat you right where you are, right? It's like your GPS system on your phone. If you don't have Wi-Fi, your GPS can't, or your GPS can't pick you up. It can't tell you where to go if it don't know where you at. Right? So that's the first step, is understanding where you at in terms of your menstrual cycle. Even if you think it's perfect, you bleed every month. Bleeding don't mean you ovulate, okay? And I'm sorry to break the news to you, but it don't mean you ovulating. Wow. Especially with women with PCOS.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Right? And then it's understanding how your overall hormones, number 4, your overall hormones are impacted, not just your reproductive hormones, right? Your menstrual cycle is important, but then understanding your other hormones, right? Melatonin, your hormone for sleep. So many women with PCOS can't get a good night's rest. They go to sleep for 8 hours, they wake up like they didn't sleep a lick, nothing.
Girl, I swear on God, it don't matter sometimes. I just be like, and I know I went to bed and I'm still tired. Or sometimes you feel like you need a nap. And it's like, why do I need a nap? I just woke up not too long ago.
Your body's not properly making enough melatonin, the hormone responsible for sleep. Right? Every body process is related to a hormone, and we're not really hip to it because they only focus on the ones that are related to fertility, right? But it's about understanding your overall hormones and how they impact your sleep, your mental health, your weight, right, and everything else. And then lastly, number 5 is movement and maintenance, right? Moving in a way that supports your hormones, right? People doing HIIT, they doing cardio, they doing everything else. And really, your workout is dependent on what phase you are in your menstrual cycle, right?
Ooh, it goes back to that damn menstrual cycle.
Right? Because let's say you're coming out or you're in your period, right? We don't want to exercise during our period.
No. Absolutely not.
Now, when we coming out of the period, I could run a marathon at that point. When I'm in my follicular phase, whoo, I got energy for days. Now, I might go do a spin class. I might, so invite me out. I'm for it, right? But then I'm moving into ovulation, and I got symptoms 2 days or a day before, and maybe I'm gonna just do yoga because nothing else, right? But then if I move out my ovulation phase back into my luteal phase, I feel good, and now I could do another exercise, right? But when you don't cater to your hormones, and let's say you just randomly, I got to get this weight off, I'm going to do 2 hours of cardio, you spike your hormones. And when you spike your cortisol, your stress hormone, right, it puts your fat in a headlock.
Oh, my God.
Right? So when you spike your stress hormone, the stress hormone spikes your insulin hormone, spikes your melatonin hormone, and then before you know it, you have this ugly imbalance, right? Because hormones are essentially like kids. I don't know if you remember when we used to be in the line like this, you used to have to do like this, and then your friends step out of line, and you try your best, but before you know, you step out of line too, because you like, girl, she did it, I'm going to do it too. That's your hormones. When one of them step out of line, the rest of them is like, party over here.
Oh, no.
And it could be different things that set you off. It could be your workout, your cortisol, your stress hormone. It could be your lack of sleep, your melatonin. I mean, there are so many hormones, right? And it's getting to the bottom of all of them, and not just the ones that are glamorized on TV, that will really create impactful change in your overall hormonal balance.
All right. Well, we gonna definitely have to do this again.
Definitely.
But this was good. I just definitely want to just thank you, Tianna, because I've learned, I mean, there was a few things that I did know, but I can honestly say I learned so much from you. And thank you for sharing your knowledge, because again, we said it before, I'm gonna say it again, women of color, Black and brown women, we need more of us to share our stories. And I know it can be hard. So whenever you're ready, sis, come on over here and join the talk, because we need more of us to share so we can also learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? And support each other. Because I think a lot of times, you know, we don't do that enough for each other too.
Yes. And I have a free 5-day PCOS course that I have put my blood, sweat, and tears into just for the women who maybe you can't afford to get to a coach. You don't have it right now. But you need direction, right? It's no strings attached. Everything is there at lovesurfwarm.com. Check it out, right? And it goes over the 5 steps that I just talked about in more detail. But to really get you started with a lot of free resources there, because I do understand that not everyone is lucky enough to be able to afford a coach or to afford someone. And I don't want price to ever be a barrier to someone getting the care, the knowledge, the education that they need, right? So I have free services that are worth their weight in gold, okay? So if you're struggling, if you don't know where to turn, check out Love Surf Warm, okay? And there will be a lot of free resources there that will really benefit women suffering.
Lovesurfwarm.com. And also, where can they find you? Because I love your IG reels and your TikTok reels, because I swear, like, even in just 20 to 60 seconds, you be spitting some info, and I really suggest that you follow this woman on social media. So where can they find you?
Yeah, so it's Love Surf Warm on TikTok, Love Surf Warm on Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Love Surf Warm on all major platforms. I show up every day, Monday to Friday, to provide free online education. So show up. Check out my stories. I'm providing education every single day.
Yes, she does.
I'm spilling my heart out there for the women, you know. And once again, it's a service of love. It truly is, you know, because as long as one woman's suffering, then none of us are really good, you know.
Girl, and we have a lot suffering out there, but I'm gonna try to do my part, you know.
You're doing it already.
I'm trying to do my part, you know. I go by CeCe doing the most, and I'm doing the most good. And I know you are doing the most good too, Tianna. So I definitely appreciate everything that you are doing. This, like I told you the other day, this ain't the first or the last. Definitely gonna bring you back. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So again, 99 Jamz, CeCe doing the most. This was Doing the Most Good series. We're focusing on women's health as part of my platform. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm on social media everywhere. It's CeCe on air. That's CeCe on air. This will also be dropped on YouTube. You can follow me, CeCe on air on YouTube. And also, if you want to contact me, I have an email. CeCe on air at gmail.com. And CeCe is spelled CeCe. Okay, so CeCe on air, one word. Thank you for watching this. More to come on CeCe Doing the Most Good.